Hello, welcome to Colonial Settlements. The vocabulary terms for this unit include burgesses. This is going to be a study on American colonial history. To begin, we need to be able to identify the 13 original colonies. I will tell you that as part of your final assessment, you will need to be able to label this map. So make certain that you are constantly looking at and studying these 13 colonies until you're able to identify them easily and locate them on the map. There were three types of colonies in America when America was first founded. The first was a charter colony. It was established by groups of settlers who had been given the right to start a colony by the king, by the English king. So they came over here with their own interest in mind. Proprietary colonies were established similarly, except this man or group of men came over here and wanted to make money off of this situation. They wanted to use the colonies as a way to increase taxes, increase their own wealth. Whereas charter colonies, they just come over here to live separate from what had been happening. And the third group of colonies is the royal colonies. Most of the colonies the 13 original colonies, were royal colonies. They were directly ruled by the king and by Britain. The first colony, the Colonial Settlement that we talk about, it began December 1606 when the Virginia Company sent 144 settlers to create a new colony in North America. They wanted to create a new place to live. In April 1607, they entered the Chesapeake Bay and went up the James River to where they established the Jamestown Settlement. But by January 1608, things were not good. Only 38 colonists were still alive out of the 144. Life in the colonies was very difficult. These people, many of them were English. They were very used to living in towns, so they were unaccustomed to hard labor. The travel was very difficult. Many got sick on the trip over. Food was very difficult to find, and so was the winter of 1607. So consequently, many of these colonists died. The colonists, on top of this, were something else. They were looking for gold and silver instead of taking the time to plant crops and gather food. Unfortunately, they found no gold or silver here. They had heard rumors, and that's all it simply was. Virginia did not have gold and silver. A guy by the name of John Rolfe, however, did find tobacco. And he realized that this tobacco was less bitter than it was in England. And so he began shipping tobacco to England and around the world. And at this point, we start to already see the beginnings of slavery. We need to produce a lot of this tobacco product to be able to sell it and make money. So while Rolfe is searching for tobacco, we also have to look at the type of government system that was established by the colony. Initially, they lived under strict military rule. The royal colonies, the king controlled these colonies. He determined what life was going to be like in these colonies. But as more and more people came to these colonies, settlers complained about taking orders from London and from the king. The distance was so far that it took forever to get a response back for something. Laws that had been enacted in Parliament, it might be 4 or 5 months before it gets back to the colonies. Well, what happens from the time that it had been enacted until it gets to the colonies? Do you try people because they didn't know the law? It was just a very difficult situation for the distance. And so by 1619, the king had allowed most all of the colonies, royal colonies, to have a say in their government. They established representative government. In these, they elected burgesses. Key term, burgesses. These are representatives who created laws for the colony. And they made the decisions in most of the colonies. Major decisions still went to the king, and there were still rules that the king set down, but the people felt as though they had a say in what was happening in their governments because they were able to elect these people. Having just a basic overview of why people came over here and what type of colonies were here, I'd like you to take quiz 1.1. Talk to me, Mrs. Betts, and I will get you a copy of the quiz. The quizzes are, again, just to make certain that you are listening to the PowerPoint presentations and that you are taking notes and absorbing information to make certain that you're getting the information that you need.